Hi, I'm Rob, and welcome to L-Space Archives. I've been battling a respiratory infection, so rather than you listening to me cough my way through every sentence, I'll be providing the audio via my inner monologue.
This is a bad idea.
Shh! So this month, I read 9 collections of Robert Bloch short stories, coming in at about 100 short stories. Now, I purposely avoided the best of Robert Bloch collection for 2 reasons. First, I know Ira, Matt, and Richard are covering this in their Best Of series over at SF Words of Wonder. I'm a fan of that series and know they will do it far more justice than I ever could.
They look tasty.
Quiet.
I want to eat their heads.
No. The second reason is that, well, this is the best of, and I wanted a more random sampling of Robert Bloch's work to get a better overview of his writing. Are the stories in the best of Robert Bloch typical of his work? Were the editors having a hard time deciding which stories to include because there were so many to choose from? Or were they struggling to find ones good enough to fill up this book? The answer for me was somewhere in between. The vast majority of the 100 stories I read were 3-star stories. Good, entertaining, but often flawed in one way or another. Even so, there were only a handful that dropped down to the 2-star range, and there were definitely enough 4- and 5-star stories to fill up a Best of Robert Bloch Volume 2. Obviously, some of the stories that appear in these collections also found their way into the Best Of collection, and I'll talk about those as they come up.
I'm hungry.
Eat a Snickers bar.
Grr.
Now, reading 100 stories from any one author back to back can easily turn into a bit of a slog. Luckily, Bloch writes in so many different styles and variations that it never really felt like I was having to force myself to keep reading. These stories ranged from Lovecraftian horror, science fiction, crime, psychological suspense, to humor, some delightfully dark, some pun-filled slapstick that will make you groan, but rarely boring.
You're boring me right now.
Shh. I do, however, need to address the elephant in the room.
I'm not an elephant.
Shh. I wasn't talking about you. Bloch's mentor was H.P. Lovecraft, and that seems to include some of Lovecraft's views on race, ethnicity, homosexuality, and just about any other type of bigotry you can think of. And in several of these stories, that disdain really shows through. Luckily, the stories that I think rank as 4 to 5 stars don't have those attitudes quite on full display, so they are more or less safe, at least in comparison to some of the others. So I'm just going to plow through what I thought were the top stories in each of these collections.
Finally. Hurry up so I can feed.
The first collection I read was Horror 7, which I covered in the last video. The 2 big highlights from this collection were Enoch and The Shambler from the Stars. Enoch is one that also appears in the Best of Robert Bloch, and rightfully so. This was definitely my favorite of this particular collection. Bloch's skills in psychological suspense are on full display here. You get to delve into the mind of the protagonist for good or ill. The setting is immersive without ever being overly descriptive. There's a good economy of words, no filler, and Bloch really creates a tone and a mood that is delightfully creepy and disturbing, and he completely nails the landing.
Happy story. Inspirational. Fun for the whole family. Made me laugh.
What? No, it was horrifying.
Comedy is subjective.
The second one in this collection worth mentioning is The Shambler from the Stars. A college student and would-be pulp writer goes in search of forbidden ancient text. This is Lovecraftian cosmic horror. I really liked it. It does exactly what you would expect Lovecraftian cosmic horror to do. This story is considered by Lovecraft himself to be part of the Cthulhu mythos and first introduced the forbidden tome of De Vermis Mysteris, aka Mysteries of the Worm.
Should be read in its original Latin, preferably on audiobook.
No, In the story, Bloch kills off a Lovecraft-inspired character. Lovecraft responded by writing a sequel entitled The Haunter of the Dark, in which he kills off Robert Bloch, thinly disguised as the character Robert Blake. Lovecraft even included Bloch's real-life street address in the story. Lovecraft also gave Bloch a signed certificate giving Bloch permission to kill off Lovecraft in one of his stories.
Lovecraft, laugh riot.
The rest of the stories in this collection were around the 3 to 3.5 star range for me. Enjoyable but flawed in one way or another.
Still hungry.
The next collection was Atoms and Evil. This is a collection of Robert Bloch's science fiction. This one probably had the widest range of good, bad, and so-so stories. The highlights for me were Talent, about a baby left in an orphanage who develops incredible mimicking abilities as he grows up, not only learning command of the English language while still a toddler by listening to others, but the ability to mimic the sounds of their voices and as he grows up their gestures and even their appearance.
So hungry.
Quiet. Another great one in this collection is called Block That Metaphor. Set in a far future in which Earth maintains diplomatic relations with various alien races. This story concerns an encounter with a race that takes things literally. Much like Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, they don't understand metaphors or figures of speech. I loved how the aliens were presented in this, and the payoff at the end was wonderfully disturbing. Also in this collection is You Could Be Wrong. It's about a guy who comes back from the war complaining that everything is superficial and fake and starts to question the reality of everything. Another great payoff at the end of this one as well. You'll hear me saying that a lot. One thing that Robert Bloch does really well is endings.
You should invite your friends to the swamp.
No.
Do you have a lot of friends on YouTube?
Well, yeah, I guess.
So you won't miss a few of them if you take them to the swamp.
No, you'll just eat their heads.
So?
The next collection is Tales in the Jugular Vein. These range from 3 stars to 4 stars for me.
You eat heads?
No, I don't. The best written of these was probably The Past Master. This was also included in the best of Robert Bloch. It's about a man who finances and masterminds a series of heists and who has a fairly legitimate reason for trying to steal treasured artwork from various museums and private collectors.
You do so eat heads?
No, I most certainly do not.
I left 3 decapitated heads on the kitchen counter for dinner, and when I woke from my nap, there were only 2 heads.
That was only because you ate all of my lasagna, and there was nothing left in the fridge except for kale. Honorable mentions, a sci-fi story called Terror Over Hollywood about an ambitious young Hollywood starlet who wants to uncover all the famous movie stars' secrets to longevity. And Night School. This is a crime story about a used bookstore that teaches people how to commit the perfect murder. Several others were fun and entertaining and had interesting concepts, but maybe not executed quite as well. Even so, I don't think I rated anything in this one below 3 stars. Cough. Cough, cough.
Wow, you actually think the word cough when you cough.
Shut up.
So lame.
The next book is Dragons and Nightmares. This just consisted of 3 humorous, lighthearted fantasy stories. The first 2 were 3 to 3.5 stars. The last story, Nursemaid to Nightmares, was a bit of a disappointment. The first half was a 4-star story. I was really enjoying it, but then it broke down into slapstick nonsense and lost all sense of internal logic. I later found out that this was a mashup of 2 short stories, Nursemaid to Nightmares and its sequel, Black Barter. I would recommend just reading Nursemaid to Nightmares in its original form. Unfortunately, that version is only available as a physical copy in its original Weird Tales iteration. However, it is available on the Internet Archive.
I'm bored.
Moving on, The Skull of the Marquis de Sade. Highlights here topped out at 4 stars for me. There is the titular story about a man who collects weird sadistic objects and acquires the skull of the aforementioned Marquis.
When do we break for lunch?
Not until we finish. Then there's a crime story, A Quiet Funeral, about a murderer who goes to his victim's funeral. Then another I really liked was The Bogeyman Will Get You. This is about a young girl who has a crush on this mysterious neighbor who she later suspects might be a vampire. This was a fun, amusing story. Again, great character work from Bloch on this one as far as getting into the mindset of the female protagonist. Again, the rest of these stories were in the 3 to 3.5 star range. Next, Chamber of Horrors.
I'm so hungry.
Well, go get that kale that's been sitting in the fridge.
Ugh, kale is disgusting.
You're the one who begged me to bring some home from the grocery store.
No, I wanted you to bring home Cale Hathaway, the kid who works the checkout line.
Oh.
He's got a large, meaty head.
Highlights in this one were Pride Goes, a crime story about an adulterous woman who plans her husband's murder, and Beelzebub, about a fly that drives man crazy. This was also included in the best of Robert Bloch. Next is Such Stuff as Screams Are Made Of. This had quite a few 4 to 5 star stories in it. Other than the best of Robert Bloch collection, this would be another book that may be worth checking out if you're interested in Robert Bloch short stories.
If you bring your friends to the swamp, I will let you have the special dream when you sleep tonight.
Highlights include The Tunnel of Love, The Unspeakable Betrothal, The Girl from Mars.
Why are you trying to ignore me?
Lucy Comes to Stay, The Pen, I Do Not Love Thee, Dr. Fell, The Big Kick.
You know you want me to give you the special dream.
Shh.
The one where Enoch is dressed as a dominatrix, and you've been a very naughty John Steed.
The next collection is called Pleasant Dreams.
Very, very naughty.
My favorite in this one was Sweets to the Sweet, about an abused girl who wants to become a witch.
I think Mrs. Peel has a whip.
And the last is Cold Chills. This has How Like a God, another of my favorites. Unlike any of Bloch's other stories, it's also included in the best of Robert Bloch, as is The Movie People, which felt very much like a Twilight Zone episode.
Oh my, Mrs. Peel is wearing her leather corset.
Then there's the Double Whammy, See How They Run, and The Learning Maze, also in the best of Robert Bloch.
And stiletto heels.
You know what? I'll just list my ratings for each of these collections in the description, and you can check it out for yourself. If any of you would like to meet up later at the swamp, to hang out or whatever, that would be great.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'll see all of you next time.
Well, maybe not.